de Create Day. Ça commence maintenant. Donc là, ils nous écoutent. Donc bonjour.
Là,
Bonjour.
une personne de connectée.
Oui, ici. Mais en fait, c'est et sur la plateforme et sur YouTube. Donc, nous, on a la visibilité YouTube, mais il y a la plateforme de Create Day. Hi, everyone. I'm Eric Charles Donatien. I'm a designer and feather craft person. So, welcome to my studio and welcome to that very sunny day in Paris. We're suffering a certain level of heat, so be nice to us. It's quite crazy. It's like Caribbean, literally. So I feel homey. And so thank you for following us. And hopefully we will share a lot of great information for you. I have my two friends, Caroline and Stefan, with me to share this moment. We're going to have this discussion about what is craft in specialized with feathers. So let's start and enjoy. Hi, Stefan. How are you?
I'm great.
First time in
here.
my studio.
Yes, so we've known each other for a while. And this is the first time I've actually been here. It's pretty cool, actually. I've never been in a studio where there's like feathers and feather working and stuff like that. So I mean, there's some like obvious questions. Like first off, I mean, is this all real? Do feathers?
All real? All the feathers? Are they real?
Are they real? Yes.
Are they real?
Yeah.
Well, you know, basically, when you see things like this with all these colors or these, obviously your question makes sense. The reality is that they don't run wild like this.
Well,
that's for sure. Even though some of the birds carry an incredible variety of colors, very intense and dense. We have no fake feathers. That's a fact. Doesn't exist, never been. We have felt mimicking these feathers that we can actually reproduce fur, and to that level that we actually can have a hard time knowing whether it's a real fur or fake fur. This doesn't exist for feathers. No. All the feathers you see, even when they look a bit weird because they look like, oh my God, everybody is calling now. It's not the moment. We actually have this variety of textures in the feathers that sometimes make them look like they are not at all real feathers, but they are real. It's certain part of the way we work them, we cut them or treat them that makes you feel that eventually they could be fake. There's no such things as fake feathers. It's a beauty of nature that we still can't copy everything. We copy so much already. But this is the feathers come from the birds, as you know. And because maybe a lot of people tells me, you do feathers. Well, I don't do them. The birds are actually making the feathers. I just work with the feathers. And the birds definitely can fly when we cannot. So, well, it's kind of a almost logical thing that we can't even reproduce what makes them fly. Maybe if we could, we would be already flying.
And we're like, what animals do you get these from? Like, what type of animals? Is there like a particular type that is better than the other, or do you just get all sorts of different species, different animals?
Well, actually, the feather, we basically use feathers from birds that we eat, like chicken, rooster, goose, turkey, ostriches, duck. I mean, not all the species, because in certain family you have species that are highly protected. But for example, here you have full ostrich, treated differently everywhere. But this, comes from ostrich. This will come from ostrich,
Mhm.
here in the black, pheasant,
Mhm.
and goose for the colors.
Mhm.
You see, so basically we use the feathers when we are approximately sure that we eat the birds. Some of them we don't eat, and we still allowed to use them in a certain area, let's say.
Mhm.
And for that, we have what we call Washington Convention, that since in the 70s,
Mhm.
they came up at least with 80 countries
Mhm.
to an agreement, international agreement, to be able to protect fish and worldwide and obviously the birds to make sure to control, because we were coming from a time when we definitely would kill just for the beauty of what we were seeing, and we were not even eating them.
Yeah, so it's more regulated now.
This is totally regulated. It's not a little bit more, it's totally regulated. It's very, we need to know the law. We can suffer big penalties if we don't. And as well, if you think about it, I mean, it's a natural element. It needs to be considered differently. I mean, we definitely developed a conscious, I developed a conscious highly about using a natural material. I used to start working with materials and considering them almost all the same or in an aesthetic point of view. Now, working with the natural, specifically natural elements, it needs to carry another level of conscious ethic that brings you as well to sometimes even pick certain techniques better than others, because you're sure that they will really represent what the feather is in the nature. So for me, it's definitely going with respecting the law to actually make myself really focus on the fact that working with a natural material doesn't carry same responsibility as working with some whatever thing that we would make ourselves as human beings. This is a gift from nature.
So we need to leads into like, how are the animals treated? I mean, especially these days, people are really like interested in like the treatment of animals.
The treatment of the animals, I mean, we definitely have those laws that normally avoid people to treat the animals badly, but to make sure that we of the feathers that we get. Now, you need to know that first, most 90% of the feathers that are used for decoration, fashion, accessories, whatever that is outside of the wild, is coming from the food system. Okay. And for the feathers that I said that we could eventually use by the law that are not eaten, we need to wait for the animal to die naturally to be able to take the feathers.
So there's no like
or
feather
when
farms,
they when they change their skin,
Yeah,
and then you can have the feathers that way. But that means as well respecting time, natural time, not our time of production, of going quick and deliver on time, and all these things that are so familiar to anybody that works in fashion, for example. But that's why I as well decided to maintain my atelier in a small entity to make sure that I'm never, stuck with a need of having feathers coming from places that maybe I could not control if they're actually well treated, the animals. So I like better to do like smaller, but make sure that every feather I get comes from a place where the birds are well treated.
And that you sense a difference between you could sense a difference between an animal that's well treated versus not well treated.
Well, obviously we don't have the pictures, we don't know. But when I see a feather, for example, I can tell if the bird
So if they were
have been eating
honest with
well,
you,
and if it had like a good life, or if it looks like it's been starving a bit and have like to fight sometime. Some specific marks on the feathers can show you that it's been fighting, or it was maybe stuck in a cage and they were all together. Things like that. So we really go for, we have to work. I mean, Monsieur Le Maurier that taught me what I know, it was Master of Excellency. And this was going along with the savoir-faire and the patrimoine. He gave me all this savoir-faire and asked me to protect it. So obviously, I'm obsessed with maintaining the quality, maintaining the level of excellency of the work. And if it means that do less, well, we do less then.
And how did you get started? How did you get into it? I mean, mentioning your mentor there.
Well, Monsieur Le Maurier was my mentor, and it's 25 years ago, so it's been a while now. And it's because first I was very attracted to the texture on itself, because again, birds, they come from dinosaurs, so they developed themselves since a lot of time, much more than we did.
Yeah, they've been around for a while.
Exactly. And the variety of textures and colors in this family of species on the planet, that is unbelievable.
Yeah, imagine it.
It's a world of creativity that is literally endless. Not only because we probably don't know every species that exists, but because on every single one, you have a whole universe to discover.
That's true,
And this is, for me, was strong enough to stabilize myself in this field and remain there for 25 years right now. And that's why as well, I decided to find all the possibilities to actually work those feathers, from doing window displays, you know, things like, you see, things like that, that we actually take the understanding of the feather in this element of the nature, and then I'm trying to translate. We're translators, you know. I mean, I never mean to invent anything. I never mean to. We're not trying to play God. I mean, we clearly have an understanding of beauty through observing nature. And what we see is so perfect that I have no key and no will to try to measure myself to nature.
Sure,
But what I can do is pay tribute by trying to reproduce the system of what you see in nature. Meaning that feathers, for example, they represent motion. They represent lightness. They represent strength, and they represent, in general, freedom. So that's why whatever technique I can master, and obviously I can show you things like these or these, where you actually can see that we've been controlling the feather to say what we want to say.
Yeah, that looks like wood.
That looks like wood, because I like to, you know, do like some links in between different things. But the important stuff is that when you work like that, for example, it's nice, it's aesthetic, but it doesn't say so much about the fact that you use feathers. You could do that out of a piece of wood, for example, or piece of paper. But then comes the idea of to pay the tribute to nature. Maybe you think about how to use the feathers like no other material would look like. That's how you come up with this. That's how you come up with this. That nothing else can do this effect. That's how you come up with this. You're not even changing anything. It's a bracelet. You're not even changing anything. You just take the feather the way it is, and it's dyed. So we made a dyeing. but that's how you come up with this as well. So this, you see, is properly little flowers, and they're flying, literally, and they look even, but they're not perfect, like in the nature.
Sure, yeah.
Because again, the time, the motion makes things be alive. So I reproduce life. What I want to carry in the work is life. I hate definitely doing things that looks like a bit without any
bringing life to the
exactly.
feathers, yeah.
So it's not a demonstration of how good I am as a feather craft guy. The techniques, I have them, but it's me to choose. It's my responsibility to choose them in the way I use them, to make sure that they carry the essence of what feather represent to me. And you see here, you have this piece that is called samurai, because feathers are as well a protection. So I built, because I love to work with the metal, with the wood, with the leather, and I did this barred arch, looking like a shell, like a armor, because the feathers, for light that they are, for fragile that they look, they are very strong, and they're definitely a protection for the birds.
Animal,
So that's why I wanted to honor this protection by doing a piece with this metal scale, and that reminds me to the Japanese armors. That's why it's called samurai, and where the feathers are just edging the border and doing a work. I don't know if we see well on the back. I don't know, the light is tremendous here, so I hope that you see, guys, and that's how we end up doing these things, to really go into what the symbolic as well of the feather is. It's not about covering things with feathers. I mean, covering things with feathers is level 1. I mean, okay, you know how to pay to glue feather on something, and then you just glue feather over everything. But what is the meaning of it? I mean, what does they represent for you? That's what I'm trying to solve myself every day, and to share with people every day.
Well, and like there's a history also. I mean, that goes way back with working with feathers. I mean, everybody kind of instantly thinks of probably American Indians, but I mean, there's probably a long history that goes back with
you're right. You're right. A lot of people think about the feathers. They think in Occidental way. They think of or Indians or burlesque, spectacle, Lido, showgirls. And when it's way back before, in Egypt already we could find trace of feather using. Mexico, old Mexican time of pyramids there.
The Aztecs,
exactly, and they were using it for religious purposes. They were doing tapestries out of feathers, knit and knot. Unbelievable, with tiny, 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 tiny feathers. And then what we know, but we don't picture it all the time, is that it's always been used in the tribes, of course, but everywhere in the world the same. That's very funny. Same way, same techniques, same purpose. Because in the end, knot, stick, glued, weaved. What else do you want? And sewn.
What were they used for the same purposes?
Honor, status, hierarchy, and then slowly, in different part of the world, they became more into embellishment, like Chinese, way before us, were doing incredible jewel making with feathers, flat, what we call croissonnet, and with kingfisher, and they were specialized with that. And then you have us coming up with the military.
Oh yeah, this is
Yeah,
true.
all the military
all the
with the feathers. But it's solar statues again,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And then we start to do with the kings in France the embellishment of the outfit and a piece of furniture. Even though we're not the first one doing on furniture, Asian were already doing it, and we find those ostriches, for example, that you still have in Palais de Château de Versailles, and above the bed of Kings Louis XIV. And then start the real fashion. And that's why in 19th century and early 20, with no regulation and discovering of the fashion, we were just going for what we wanted, to have beautiful hats, beautiful dresses, with no regulation. And then with the 20th century, we understood that we could not just, consummation like this for a while. That was not good. And we created this. But then in the history, you see that finally our moment is probably the smallest moment of the craft with the feathers.
Sure, yeah.
The smallest in the end. So what's next? We're here to build it, but we definitely not the ones discovering, inventing everything that we do. And God knows that. You see, I made because I have I love the as well all the tribes. I made new crowns, what I call new kings and new crowns like this. You see, on so you tell me, but it's in the glass. But it's just because people can't behave. Because they can't behave, we are obliged to put a glass, because otherwise they would be touching all the time. They're not so fragile. And again, let's do that. Let's see. You see, so it's simple and imperfect, like in nature. Again, it's not a technical demonstration. It's just a tribute to nature. And I think that again, people see it as a fragile thing, but it's not. The feather is not the fragile part. The fragile part is the work we do to take them out of their natural system. And another one that I cherish is this one. You see, where
it's very Aztec,
a bit more Aztec. This is more Amerindian, and this more Aztec, like almost like pirates. And it's openable again. Oh, where is it? Yeah. Because in this one, I made something, a sort of you, and I used the technology, science, to join and to link two things that are valuable for us in our society: aesthetic and cost. And this is 24 karat gold on the feathers, just to work on the idea that this value that we give to this mineral, the gold, because it costs, because it represents money as well, on top of the fact that it's beautiful to see. I found that having the technology able to put the gold on real feathers were a good way to say that the feather on itself, and that's why don't work the feathers, they're raw, no cut, no nothing, just the way they are in the nature, to say they are as valuable as gold. And that's why it's like a crown, because I want really to carry this message that the feather is something that we should treat like gold, not only to respect environment, but to respect the fact that they're coming from birds, and birds that can fly when we can't. We still can't.
How long does a feather last? Does it last forever?
feather lasts forever
Really?
if you don't have the little bugs that comes with it.
Sure. Yeah. Something destroys it. But I think if you just leave, if you
Yeah.
wow.
You leave it here, in 200 years, it's still there the very same way.
Wow.
Which is not the case for us.
No.
I'm afraid
with
a lot of science, a lot of technology, we will definitely don't look as good as these feathers in 200 years. So that's why I think that there is something again to understand, and I can relate to you because what they don't know is that we know as well, because you are one of the best cook I know.
Oh, thank you.
And for me, I make a parallel with the cooking. You're a tech guy, you love techno, but yet you involve your body and you take the time, as we take the time to value this material. You take the time.
It's important to source it.
Exactly, to source properly.
Otherwise
and
it's
to
not
cook.
the same.
And yet techno, no. But a bit techno sometimes.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, what's your like overall vision when you work with feathers?
Well,
what are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to say?
I really go more and more into just, again, not using them as a material that could be replaced by something else. And to be able to, again, pay tribute to the people that taught me this patrimoine, that gave me this patrimoine, and try to carry as much as I can of this technique, even though they're long to do, even though they take some time, 10 years to master. We don't like to take 10 years to master things today because we need efficiency at the time. So we create things, and that's why we have them. I showed you things that you can do within few hours. You're able to do this. But do I want to develop a whole business out of just few techniques easy to do? No, I don't think I'm there for that. I'm there to make people see the value, the beauty of what nature literally gave to us. And that we eventually would consider as trash if we would not upcycle them. Because it's an upcycling process.
Well,
I mean,
which has gone on
again, we don't kill. No killing for having feathers. It's over. So if we don't eat them, we don't get the feathers. Stop eating nuggets, we don't get the feathers. Basically. And honestly, I think we can slow down. And I have friends, famous ones, that sometimes accept to follow me in my philosophy and wait for 6 months to 1 year just to wait for a bird to die naturally, to be able to take the feathers, not to run after a stock or whatever and buy because we have money and we can just rock it and buy tons of loads of things that comes from we don't know where, we don't want to know. So that's where I'm going, and that's my overview of the work. Meaning that, I mean, you see the society we have. I mean, when we gather together to have dinner together, that you take all this time to cook for us. What is the message? Surely not opening a supermarket, no? Right? Or chain of restaurants.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Same. I think that we are the center of something major. And as we all know that we we destroyed this planet for many reasons. I mean, it's sad, but it's true. Everyone at its own level can decide to reverse the process and try to see things differently. Okay? Less money, but
slow down a little bit.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. And I think that it's very important again to revalue even the physical aspect of work. Again, as when you work in your kitchen, you involve your whole body. It doesn't have the same value as something that just comes from the mind, or that you ask machines to do.
Yeah.
And it's even worse when you transform people into machine, asking them to repeat gestures or to reduce work to repetition tasks that we kind of have. But every single thing, you give it a specificity, or you decide not to because it's easier. And you do like, little patterns, and anybody would do the same work, and you can reproduce your work in millions of pieces, and they all look the same.
But you're not looking for volume.
But we don't look for that, and this is not what nature is teaching us. So I believe that we definitely need reconnect to nature at every level.
Well, and honor it, like you said.
And honored.
Which is, I think we've forgotten how to do.
a little bit. And as for example, when I look at you and you're cooking and you add the technology to your cooking, and it doesn't destroy any value, any principle.
Yeah, I like using a stove.
Exactly. And I was thinking, what would you think that would be eventually a good connection with technology for us? For example, sometimes I'm just like trying to understand, and I don't want either to live apart from what the world is made of, because this would be silly. And when you look at the work that we do, would you say, oh, it has to stay like that? Or would you think, oh, maybe we could like added something a bit more technology? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think there's a value in adding and handwork, right? I mean, you can't. There's certain things you can't replicate with the machine. And there's certain spirit that you can give to an object, an inanimate object, through using your hands. I play music also, and playing an inanimate object and giving it a little bit of life is it's definitely a skill that requires mastery. That you have to really understand the material working with, like what it is, what it does, how does it look from all sorts of different angles. I mean, really understand the material in order to actually start communicating with that material.
Exactly. Yeah, communicating.
Exactly what you're obviously trying to do.
Well, that's what we try to do, all of us. That's why we're doing that. Yeah, that's what we're doing here, and that's what we're doing every day.
Yeah.
So I think that next level of technology would be communication, the real one, sensitive communication. So let's see what technology have for us to mix with the feathers and to bring us to this sensitivity.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can have like from a business standpoint, I think you can bring technology into it, from like traceability, right? Like I bet you that's a big problem. Maybe in fake documents. I mean, how does it get across the borders and stuff like that? I mean, I think technology could probably aid in the ability of making sure that what you're getting is what you think you're getting.
Okay. I can see that, right. Okay. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for sharing this moment with us. And we will meet hopefully on another discussion soon. Thanks for sharing. Ciao. There. And stream. Technology.
You gotta love it.